to know your stories, right? If you allow me, just in a minute, describe yourselves and your businesses. Who are you? Because I just named the businesses, but what do you do for the women that are hearing of you for the first time? I'll start with you, Aida.
Hi. So my name is Aida Mchenje Mwanza, CEO and founder of ID Creations. In the quickest possible way, description as what I do and who I am. I got your question correct, right? So I do events, event design and event planning. So for those who've seen ID Creation, this is the face. So what we do is create high luxury events as well as event planning. So we create experiences from like food, decor, and everything in once. That's a different service from the decor. So that's practically what we do. Qualified event planner, trained under School of Weddings, SS School of Weddings, and also a self-taught decorator. Yeah, that's the basic part about it.
Good morning. My name is Ruth Moto. I'm the founder and CEO of My Perfect Stitch. My Perfect Stitch is a design and manufacturing business that operates in 3 verticals. Wow, okay. So we're a bag manufacturing business, we're an upholstery furniture business, and also we do interiors for commercial and residential.
All right, amazing. Now, in a few words, what made you venture into entrepreneurship? I'll start with you, Ruth.
It was accidental, I think. Hi, Jane. Why I'm saying hi to Jane is because I think, 12 years ago, we were sitting and we were talking about all the things that we wanted to do. And entrepreneurship was not really one of the things that I thought my life would turn out to be. Ideally, I was supposed to be a director of something in a ministry of something, driving a GX. I had it all planned out, like I was going to do this and this and this and this.
Right.
And then life happened and I made some family decisions. My husband was moving out of town and I decided that I didn't want to commute. Commuters, you know what I'm talking about, yeah? So I decided that I was going to quit my government job and I was going to figure out my life. So in the figuring out my life, I taught myself how to sew, and from making dresses for myself, it turned out to making dresses for my friends. And I'm very curious, so I'd get something, I would undo it and check how it's done, and then I would make it and then I'd post on my social media, and next thing someone would ask, and the next thing I had an order from a bank. I charged them what I used to get paid from my government job. They paid me and I thought, wow, this could work. This is 10 years later.
My goodness, 10 years later. Amazing. Ida, how did you find yourself in entrepreneurship?
So funny that's Ruth's story. Never planned as well. So I always say ID Creation actually comes from such a deeper place. I was so happy when I heard Coco and everybody saying, mention Jesus, and I'm like, oh, I'm in a right place. I say that because it's very, very divine. It came in at a place where I was at a crossroads. Next to do. Coming from a background of an environmental health technologist, I think, I don't know if there's anybody who's also a health worker or a teacher and is doing part-time entrepreneurship, I think would know that they will just post you anyway. They will not care. So I think it came from a place where I was working outskirts, Lusaka, which is Ruano. For those of us, I think would, if they have heard the story, Ruano is under Central Province, where the Myron brothers were found, the ones who would kill people. So I was posted there, imagine very young, less than 25, and just trying to figure out life. Growing up in Lusaka all my life, and then they just throw me in the woods. So in the beginning, of course, I was situated at the management, which is like in town. And eventually, because of my qualification, I needed to go down in the woods, like I call them. So I think I just said, my HR used to say either it's like a balloon. I was there, but like I just felt like there was more to me. Like we'll let her go and then she will fly. So I think I came back to Lusaka with a view of, look, I just want to push my transfer back. I want to be in the big city of Lusaka. I want a better life. So when I came back, I think in a period of like a year, I was just completely off work. And around that time, because I think, for lack of a better term, it was so traumatic for me. Like just being the only child, and then you leave your mom, you leave your family, and you're just staying alone for almost 5 years. So it wasn't a short period. So when I came back, I think why I say it was such a deep place, it was just like, what's next? What am I doing? Am I going to get a position in Lusaka? Am I going back into the village? What's going to happen? And during that time, I just felt like, look, I've never really fully had a celebration of my own, like just like something that I would appreciate myself. And now, because I'm off work and I have a like a few bags to my name, a few money, let me put a beautiful celebration for myself. I think during that time, that's when I came up with the thought like, oh, I want to do my birthday. And that was my 25th birthday. So when that happened, I think I wasn't even aware that I'll actually do it myself. Fast forward, I've always been good in art. Like in high school, for those who know me, I was one of the best like female in high school. In terms of drawing, I would literally draw anything. So, and my hands, I would make everything, like whatever I can make. So I think from there, I just thought, wow, I need this like particular birthday. Let me just create something from scratch. And it was just a few days of just creating things from scratch, like in my mom's one of her rooms, and I just started making things. I started preparing way early, and then when that was done, I think at the point where I just felt like, oh, let me call somebody to do this. I had a vision, and I figured like I've already done like 80% of the work. Why not maybe just set up myself, and then the next day come back as a birthday girl. So I think that's how I did my first ever event. And for some reason, the photographer who came, at that time I think we were paying hours. So I just paid him a few hours, and women being women, most of my friends and family were very late, and the only thing this photographer took mostly was the decor. So I put up the decor shots, and then I had the first client, and just like a person was just like, oh, this is so nice, who did this? And then they called me, I think she was Sangwea at that time, I think she was under Movie TV. She called me, and I charged very less, but I went in and did what I could do, and I did my best, and then from there was one client, next and next. So yeah, that's where I came from. It came at a point when I really needed it. It's my baby, I love it.
You know, something that makes your story very, and I think very relatable to the women in here, is you've done exceptionally well. And you do what you do so different for the both of you, you know? I know there's designers present, I know there's people in branding present, you know, who are looking at you and say, but how come you've set yourselves apart? There's people who've been doing deco for the longest time, you know? And maybe let me take this opportunity. By a raise of hands, are there interior designers present here? People into deco that are present in this room? Amazing. Do we have any designers, people that are into branding. I remember speaking to someone in branding that are present, and I know that there's a lot of women that are online and are wanting to learn from you. But how have you gone on to, first of all, set yourselves apart? Did you identify a problem? And I want to start with Ruth. Did you identify a problem that you can say you are solving with My Perfect Stitch?
Yes. I think that the journey of entrepreneurship is one of growth. It's like growing up, like you're a baby and then you are 5, you are 10, you puberty and everything. But a lot of times people decide not to grow. So you have many years attached to your name. Like, I think we've been in a lot of conversations where you're talking to someone and then they've been running the same grocery store for the last 20 years. And you're wondering why. Well, I don't know if other people wonder, but for me, I'm always wondering, like, what is it that you are not doing? Why you're not growing? And for me, that is the question I decided to answer for myself, that every time I'm going to do something, I always have to do it better. So what are the ways that I can do it better? The problem that I identified much earlier on, and I think like a lot of people, if you've done a boot camp or something, they'll ask you what is the problem that you are solving. And I remember that I used to hate that question because sometimes you don't know, like you just know you like doing something, but then you don't even understand, like if you're sorting out any problem, you know what I mean? And sometimes it can even be an inner battle that you have because you feel like maybe you don't even know what you're doing in your entrepreneurship journey. But then it's as simple as just looking at what is the experiences that we have. Like we don't have to look very far. So for example, why I wanted to learn how to make clothes is because, and I love it that it's all women here, because we all have a story of a tailor, right? We take our chitenge and then it's ready, but John is talking, like you already know that the story, and that's where my frustration came from. It was just an issue of I want to have my dress in a certain way, and every time there's a story, whether he put the fabric somewhere else or he did something, and can I learn how to do it? But then, after I learned how to do it, and I realized that my friends would come, and then I became a John, because I'm not delivering on time, and then I have all these issues, like even when you hire, there are people in tailoring business here, you know the hassles of managing tailors, right? And so you jump into this thinking that I'm solving my own problem, and then someone comes to you and then they say, can you also sort out my problem because somehow you've managed it. Then you realize that there's actually a bigger problem around it. And the more I got into it, the more I started to realize that the problem for me was, first of all, having to look at local production, local content. Everyone has something to say about something that is manufactured locally, and it's bad things. It's low quality, it's not delivered on time, it's not the way I wanted it, it's what I ordered versus what I got. You know that like there's a lot of that. And for me, that became the first thing. How do I work around producing something that is of great quality, that someone is actually going to pay money for, but also that is going to sponsor me and actually create a career for myself? But then I realized that even though I create a career for myself as the CEO of My Perfect Stitch, I cannot have a career and the people that are in my organizations don't have some semblance of a career. So then what does it come to when it comes to skills development? And for me, then I started looking at it. In as much as, yes, I have a product, what does it mean then for the people who actually make that product? Can I actually develop their skills? So if there are some people who work at My Perfect Stitch here, I'm very, very intentional about you, the person who's working at My Perfect Stitch, and you developing your skill. It's one of the things that I always say, that when you come to work for My Perfect Stitch, the day you decide to walk out of My Perfect Stitch, your skills should be better. And most of it is the fact that tailors and carpenters are people who actually never develop their skills. They do the thing over and over and over again, and most of them never actually go to school to actually learn the trade. And that is one of the reasons why the things that actually, this thing doesn't like me. But anyway, so it's one of the things that I actually decided. And most of the times, for me, when I look at the tailoring and carpentry business, I look at it as building an industry. What does it mean? What type of exposure can I get for myself, right? To build a career for myself, first of all. But then what also can I do to actually develop these people in such a sense that maybe in the next 5-10 years, we actually are going to be part of the conversations who are making things that are globally acceptable.
Amazing. And I think those are very important lessons because you want to be a part of a vision, right? But sometimes there's that limitation of, I think somebody challenged me not too long, they told me, I like that women have come to the conversation of being entrepreneurs, and for the longest time women were bullied. We were bullied for a very long time in how much space we could take up. But now that you've taken up space, are you passing a ladder for the people that are coming behind you, or you just become another bully? You know, you've crossed over to where the bullies are, right? So I want to know with you, Ida, what did you have to do in your life? What did you have to change in your life to become the CEO that you are today?
Quite a good question. For me, I think I wouldn't say there was, of course, there's always Kazan, I always say Kazan, constant improvement. But for me, I think I would say, even when I just started, like from the beginning of it, this is quite similar principles, which of course, top notch, it sounds like a cliche, but hard work. Always had it. I think even when I was starting, thank God, when I was starting, I wasn't married. So I would go home, like my mom would open, like my brother then, would open the gate for me, like almost, if I have an event, almost like every time on the weekend, 02, 03. So like something on me had to like really change. Of course, coming from a background of like, you're a government worker, sorry to say, but like there's a laissez-faire kind of behavior towards work. Like at the end of the day, I'll still get paid. At the end of the day, my money is waiting for me. And it's something that you just sit in the office and work for 17 hours if there's nothing much to do. But coming into entrepreneurship, I think that's why I'm saying there's nothing much I would say I changed. It's something that I began with from the start. So like I understood to say what I put in is directly proportional to what I'm getting. So if I put in sleepless nights, early morning, I'm there to making sure like quality control, everything. If I want angels to fly, they need to fly at all costs. If I want flowers to come from this side, going this side, I need to really just like die a little. So hard work always. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to understand you can't be lazy. If you're looking at being an entrepreneur, then you're in the wrong space. It means like you have to die a little. So for me, that's like actually like I think Coco could know. I think because I entered the industry when she was still doing deco. ID was known in less than a year. So you can imagine how much work I put in. Like for like me getting an award, I think I was actually less than a year. I think I should have been 7 months in. And then before, like I could even clock the year I was getting Zambian's top florist awards. So it means like what I was putting in was a lot. Clock it. Yeah. And tenacity. I remember at some point, tenacity, the description of it's like the ability to glimpse on something so hard. I understood to say I'm entering this industry. I had nobody that I was looking at. Of course, there was Lafay on all these names, but like because of the same thing Ruth said, like if I'm gonna do something for me, I think it comes with also the personality. I'm such like if I'm gonna do something, I can't do it halfway. Like I can't, and it shows in things that I do. So like even when like I entered the industry, here's the tagline, not your usual, because I had been to events where it's like the same, like it's the same wedding, maybe just a different bride. It feels the same thing, like it feels like the same thing. I've seen this before. So when I entered the industry, I think my tagline really drove me so hard that I wasn't gonna do anything halfway. So that's tenacity. So I knew to say say this is what, if I saw an opportunity, I remember what really actually like made me be announced was Chef's wedding. But before that, I had done Lusaka July. And it's not like they called me and told me, come through and do Lusaka July. We've seen your work. I was on their Twitter, like I was tagging Monde and Chicha. I'm like, look, I could do this, I could do that. And then, like, I could do this so well. Can you put me on? Even if you can pay me a few bucks, like I'll do this. So when I did that, I think it really just announced. So that's tenacity. Like I knew that I want to hold on this and I really want to push. I would say also like the third thing that I did so well for me, company, like that's my goal. Like Tash Fash, the time I entered the industry, like she was already a big brand. Like I was literally like a PA, not that like I was working, but like she was my friend. So I was getting energy from someone that I'm seeing is doing so well. So if you're entering like your circles are everything. If you're entering a certain like space when it comes to entrepreneurship, sometimes it's who speaks to you, who is around you, what's the energy that you're getting off the people around you. So like I also said, I didn't change anything. When I was starting, I was doing what I know to say has brought me this far. Like if I'm gonna do something, I'm not doing it. Sometimes I feel like I can't. I have a person, I have my husband. Like of course it's who you marry also. So like all those things come up together and just make you a powerhouse and do things that haven't been done. Like I don't look at the Zambian market. Of course we get off energies in terms of the industry, but I'm always thinking if I'm gonna do a masterclass, I would think global. Like I'm not gonna think Lusaka, I'll think where I head. So I think just strategically just being focused and saying, look, I wanna do something different and I'll do it so well will change so much.
Yeah, I just want to circle back to something you said, because we like to say it, and later on today, we will have to practice it, right? Which is we need to network.
Yes.
And a lot of people say, your network is your net worth, right? I started with your network, but they're not. You know what I mean? And I want to circle back to friendships, to companionship, because we're speaking to women.
Yes.
And there's women in here that are married or to be married. There's a lot, and we also pick our friends in a certain way. How do you know, permission to just bring it home, right? Permission, just to bring it home. Yes. There's guilt around friendships.
Yes.
There's guilt around, your family sometimes. Somebody could be so talented, so gifted, but 20 years, we've been friends from 8th grade. How do you let go of this person? Then on top of that, everybody says, oh, you've changed. You want to hang around your Fuika.
Yes.
Mukabuela, whatever it is, there's all that guilt around you. So, help us, Aida. How do we, and also, so we just have your attention to some time. I've spoken about the friendship side, but there's also partners that don't support, right? Because when women are powerful, they become disrespectful. Sometimes the partner would be supportive, but there's also in-laws.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you just help us understand how women are able to grow in spaces that are not supportive, and how you can identify certain things to usher you into your next season?
Wow. Such a good question. So deep. One thing for sure, friends are gonna fall. Like entrepreneurship is such a lonely journey, and you have to be okay with that. I wouldn't say, like I used to have a whole big circle around me. From my college, look, we were together at this and that. But conversations sometimes as you grow don't hold. Like we are in a different space. I'm gonna talk about how I have, look, for argument's sake, I have a client who pays me 100K. And my friend, because maybe we are not on the same space anymore, like can't even has never even held that money. So already, like, some people will just stop, like, relating to you. Some people will stop understanding to say, I can't show up on a weekend date because I have events all the weekends. So it's okay. And please be okay with it. It's okay, friendship will fall. But eventually, for me, what has happened is like, like years later, people will still just understand. And I had somebody, like, who was my friend, who just said, you know what, Ida, I know we haven't seen each other in a long time, but I brag about you. Like, you see that girl? That was my roommate. So they catch up eventually. But you can't hold yourself back because I have to fit in. It's okay, like I said earlier, to say I was in the Ministry of Health, and even within that, like, I kind of felt like I'm supposed to be an ego. It's like an ego in the midst of chicks. Like, it's okay. You're gonna fly eventually. Understand that there's a greater calling to you, and it's fine. Yeah. So don't be mad about a fallen friendship. That's okay. What you're doing is bigger than even a friendship. So I think that's like when it comes to friends. And when it comes to partners, in terms of supportive partners, I think it's just like on a general, for me, what has worked is really separate time. You don't have to be disrespectful because you are an entrepreneur or a CEO. You don't have to fully say, I'm all about this, and you can't be present when it comes to home. When you're home, be a wife. For me, I'm not, like, if it's weekend, I'll do a whole matereto for my husband. It's like you have to drop everything. You're a CEO at work, at home, you're a full wife. And at the point where I'm leaving home and coming home late, it has gotten to a point where my husband understands, so, oh, this weekend I have to give her out a bit. It's okay, because when she's present, she's present. So understand the balance, and understand, if, as you are building system, understand when you need to, delegation also is important, when you need to show up, and when you need to actually have your own time.
You are wondering why other businesses are growing, but yours is not. But the guy that you have hired to manage your business also doesn't know to pass through. And then you are frustrated because you're not taking responsibility for your business. One of the things that I didn't hate, that I didn't get, because I used to hate it. I was just like, even today I have to pay people. Even today I have to, even today. But it's a business I started myself, so it is my responsibility. When you look at something, I always make it an example, which is like taking care of your child, right? It is your responsibility. There's no way you're going to get frustrated that your 4-year-old hasn't eaten. If you did cook the food, or tell someone to cook the food for them. So why are you frustrated with the things that are happening in your business, but you not take responsibility for them? Once you take responsibility, it really starts to help you now start knowing what are your knowledge gaps. What is it that I know about my own business? And how can I learn about this things? And then how can I grow with it? Regardless of whatever growth we're trying to. So I don't know how to answer the question, but I will put it in there.
I think you have. As we come to a wrap, because unfortunately we're short of time. And the beautiful part is, after our main sessions, after lunch, we'll have the opportunity, people will get to talk to you directly. But what's the key takeaway that each of you has for every single woman present in this room? We have a room with over 100 women, all right? And for others, they may not get the opportunity to chat with you, to learn from you, but you've gone ahead and you have proven success from your journey. What's the key takeaway that you want the women present today to have? I'll start with you, Aya.
Because obviously we're talking about scaling up, right? I just want to take it back to your previous question, and obviously direct it to the key note that they're supposed to carry home. I think scaling up as it is on its own, we need to understand that it's very personal. Why I'm saying it's very personal, you can't scale up because I've seen so and so in the industry now has introduced, like, for argument's sake, ID Creation bought a big truck, I need to buy. Or this person is doing this, I need to. So, like, I think for me, what I'll give, like, tell the women It's a personal journey. Be focused. I always say it's like going to a restaurant with your friend, your husband, your family, and you've ordered a meal that is very hot and nice, and then you are served food and you are constantly looking at somebody else's food. Before you realize your food will be cold, right? Yeah. So if you're scaling up, understand how personal your journey is. Only when you're ready to scale up, only when you're ready to open the next boutique, only when you're ready to say, I'm able to do events outside Lusaka, should you take that step. Don't scale up because you've seen it. It's a trend. It looks cool when you have more than 3 and 4 boutiques. Are you genuinely able to scale up? So even as you take into your journey, as you're going home, remember to say your journey is very personal. You can be inspired, yes, by speakers, by obviously big brands that are in the room, but understand that it is very personal. And when you take it that it is personal, understand your brand and know times and seasons happen to them all. It becomes a different thing because you'll be very focused on what you're supposed to do. I was actually talking to ma'am in Red. I was saying I have got something to tell her. The CEO of Avalon, right? I pronounce it? Okay. When I was formally employed, I couldn't even manage to buy her products. I couldn't manage to buy her products to start reselling because we had one in our office who was selling her product and I couldn't be recruited. So that's how time and season happens to them all. Can you imagine I'm seated next to her as one of the speakers today? That's how you need to understand to say it's not about the next person. I know there's competition, which is good. Competition is healthy. It keeps us on our toes. But there's no need to have pressure. Understand your time and season and focus. Yeah.
I would say that be audacious at the moment. Like just add a little audacity to your life. And this audacity is starting with yourself. Like just tell yourself that I run a boutique. Next year I'm going to go to Milan to go see what luxury boutiques do. And then just tell yourself, and then I'm going to find out how to go to Milan. I'll go and apply for my visa and I'll go. Even though you have no plan, I'm just going to know how it's done. Because when you are audacious, even the type of people you know becomes different. When you walk into a room, just tell yourself, I want to know that person said that they make this amount of money. Even me, I want to know. But I also want to know them so that I can learn. A lot of time as women, we excuse ourselves for dollar. You just know me, it's okay. Like, just step out. Ask yourself, what would it look like if starting right now, audacious Ruth is the one who's showing up? How would I walk differently? How would I talk differently? How would I take care of myself and my business? But also, dream big. When you go to write that you want to make 100,000 in 2026, just go add an extra 0 and say, okay, I'll make 1 million. And you know what starts to happen is that when you dream bigger, even your mindset starts growing. It's like you start to exercise a certain muscle that then becomes, well, maybe I can. When you walk into a shop, instead of starting from the lowest price, maybe start from the highest price and look at it and say, I like this dress. Even though you don't have the money, but what it has done to your mind is that you've told yourself, maybe even me, I can buy myself $1,000 suit. Stop rehearsing on the life that you just have one chance to live. Be audacious.
Time and season happens to us all, and let us have some audacity to do the things we want to do. Amazing. Due to time, we will allow only 2 questions. Only 2. to you. And her, yes. Okay, for her, yes.
Thank you so much. My name is Diana, and I run an online business where I just sell earrings. So I wanted to ask both Ida and Ruth on pricing and the quality of customers. Like how did that grow? How did you separate yourself from the ordinary?
Diana, before you sit, try something. Hi, my name is Diana, and I run a forward fashion earrings business. Not I just run a...
That's an answer.
Do it again. So, introduce yourself again.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Diana,
Hi, my name is Diana,
and I run an accessories company,
and I run an accessories.
largely online.
Okay, before you even come through and respond, we'll have the second question asked so that you can respond to both of them side by side. I think just for balance, can we have somebody in the back? In the very back.
There's a table
Is that person?
Okay, somebody is literally standing, so we'll take you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alice Njuka. I'm coming from our Nature Magazine Podcast and Foundation. Our company, which is involved in Uptake Girl and Boys. So I've learned so much interesting strategies that you can use as an entrepreneur. And we would love to have you women, powerful women, to have a chance to do an edition or a section in our magazines. So my question is, how would you survive in this competitive environment? And we have to do with digital or technology thing. As an entrepreneur, how would you penetrate in such an environment? Thank you.
All right, just
This is the kind of magazine that we do from our company. Thank you.
please just repeat your question. We'll ask you to just repeat your question.
What kind of strategy did you use in a very competitive market, and it being a very digital part of the environment? So as an upcoming entrepreneur, how would you penetrate in such an environment? What kind of very persuasive strategy did you use as an upcoming entrepreneur? Okay, do you understand?
I'll answer Diana's question, and I will answer, I didn't get her, our Nachi girl's question. When it comes to pricing, there are a number of strategies that come into play. But the very first foundational thing is understanding your COGS or your cost. Your COGS is your cost of goods sold. And your cost, if you are in service, it's your cost of service. So we'll start with goods. When you have goods, it's either you are manufacturing or you are trading, right? So your manufacturing would be, for example, making a dress. Understand what it takes, every single thing. So you just get a piece of paper and then you write down, what is my cost of fabric, for example? What is my cost of transport if I'm going to buy the fabric? So if you are using Yango, what is the cost if it's 50 kwacha? So 50 kwacha going, 50 kwacha coming back. What is the cost of, like, break down every single item. What is your cost of thread? What is your cost of the needle? And then if you are the person who is doing the sewing, sometimes we have this difficulty in pricing when we are actually the people who do the thing. But take yourself as someone who is hired by your business, right? So if that is very hard, just imagine that you are hiring by John. So if you are hiring by John, how much would you then pay him for the cost of making that? So then you take, how long does it take to make the dress? I know it's a bit complicated, but then the more you do it, the easier it becomes, I always say. So then you say, if I pay by John, for example, 3,000 a month, right? And it's 26 days, so your cost will be maybe 100 kwacha per day. And how long does it take? It's 2 days. So then you know the cost of making the dress is 200 kwacha. And then you can price yourself a little high because you're the owner of the business, so it's say maybe 300 kwacha. So now you have all the costs all together. Add in your electrical costs, add in every single thing that you use. So if it's data you buy for 350 kwacha, how long it takes you a whole month, then you know it's 10 kwacha per day. You get it? It's complicated when you are starting, it becomes easier as you go on. But that gives you the total cost of you making that thing. Trading is easier because you're buying your earrings. Let's say you buy them from eBay and it's 10 pounds to buy them, and then the iShop is going to charge you 120, so you know it's 120 plus that plus your transport. And then you can add in your margin. Your margin is based on different things. Usually in manufacturing or in retail, your margins are usually quite lower because they trade in volumes, right? For example, Trade Kings and the sweets that they sell. Maybe in a day they sell 20 million sweets. So the margin there is much lower. But then there's other things that come in. When you start moving into a luxury business, right? Then you start having a thing like experience, your customer service, your champagne, your aircon. And also, there's a price on, what's the word? It's gone. Perception. You can add a margin on perception. How is this brand perceived? So you find brands like Chanel or something, you find the cost of them making a bag, maybe it's $2,000, but they sell it for $20,000. There's all those things that are added into it. So most of the times, I always give this example. One of my friends, Simonza, at the very beginning of my business used to say, be careful because sometimes you give someone the product and you add money on top. Because the cost of you making something is 200 kwacha and you're selling it for 150. It means you've given the client the dress and you've given them a 50 kwacha on top, right? So you have to be very careful in understanding that. But also when it comes to, especially on manufacturing, I'm leaning towards manufacturing because it's what we do. Don't cost based on one. Look at how many products you need to sell in order to make a profit in a month. Because sometimes you want to just kill your own business because you say, no, for me in a month I need to make 3,000 kwacha. But the cost of you producing the dress is 3,000 kwacha. But if you produce 100 of them, it will be 300 kwacha. You said. I hope that is helpful. So get a piece of paper and just say how much do I order my earrings for? And then also, what is the quality of it? Are you a Trade Kings and selling things on volume, or are you leaning towards a more luxurious business? But also a luxurious business is where then it comes into understanding the type of materials you're using. So you can't sell me something that is gold-plated at the same price as gold, right? So there are also all those things. It comes into handling, how are you managing the product, and then you also have your overheads. You also have to understand what your overheads are. Your cost of compliance is overhead, your cost of people is overhead, your cost of maintenance is overhead. So it's different when you actually run a full company. It's easier when you are starting out, but when you are starting out, then you have the foundation of even when it gets bigger because you keep practicing. I hope that's helpful.
Great.
So I'll answer her question. I think her question was, is it clear? Can you hear me? So her question was, what strategy do you use to obviously stand up in a very competitive market? I think what has helped me, apart from the earlier things I mentioned, is always thinking ahead, like always being a step ahead. So I'll bring it down for us, like depends. Like you would find there's maybe a new chair globally on the market. For example, thank God there's this padded chair. I would say, like, even when it came, I was one of the first person to bring it in Zambia. So staying ahead in terms of like your brand. Of course, there's so many people doing it, and the market will always be saturated. But what is it that you're offering that's different? I know sometimes there are things that you obviously need to bring in that maybe are so expensive, depending on maybe you're into hair, maybe certain hair, maybe certain quality, or certain earrings, or certain material is extremely expensive for you to bring it on the Zambian market. What I would do for me in my business is, if I can get it in small quantities, let's say for chairs, I would maybe do like 40. What I'm doing is like more like showcasing. In business, unfortunately, or in a brand, you have to constantly show that you're ahead of time. And I mean, clients only book when they see. So how then do you show to say you are better or you are ahead in terms of trends and things like that? It's always been a step ahead. If you are into earrings, there are certain earrings maybe trending globally. Remember, I said you don't have to look at your Zambian markets. Globally, this is what is trending. I know I can't manage to have 50 of them because they're very pricey, but I can bring maybe a few because maybe there's always that one person or two who need it. So for me, I'll bring maybe chairs that are like, I know maybe like that global event company that I've seen. If I can get hold of them, I'll bring maybe even 20 and do like maybe baby showers, maybe small birthdays. Like eventually, I'm always introducing something that is new. There's a time where we couldn't even bring in like important flowers, like bring like essay. Now we're getting them even from Kenya. I've had a bride that I had to bring in like hydrangeas from Holland. So it's things like that where like, look, I'm gonna bring in blue hydrangeas, even if it means me doing a flight, and if a client is able to understand the luxury and things that you need to bring on the table, you bring in those things. And then from there, you have the visions, and you can show and say, look, this is what we're capable of doing, and this is what I'm able to do. Then the next client will be willing to pay for that service. They will not pay for something they haven't seen. So that's the strategy. And secondly, for me, I always say if it wasn't captured, it didn't happen. So if we are in the social media world now, there's no way you're gonna like have a like imagine this beautiful event. How did you know about it? You probably saw last year, right? How beautiful it looked, how women showed up. You only knew about it. You are a client, let's say, for this particular event, right? You are the target market. So how then does a client know if you're not showcasing, if you're not out there? So like visibility is really, really important. How much you show up. I mean, Coca-Cola still advertise, even when we grew up with it. They'll still like invest in their marketing. So strategy is just really being one foot ahead, and always be ahead. Even when people are bringing in things, let's say maybe certain braids, you should be the one that they should know. If I have to do certain braids, I have to go at braid it, or I have to go at this salon. You should be the one to introduce trends. You should be the one to bring in something. Ceiling installation. I remember I did one of the first ceiling installation. I had fresh flowers on top of the bride and groom while it's doing their first dance. So it's certain things like that that make you always ahead of time, and you cement your position in your industry.
Amazing.
Yeah.
A round of applause.
For Diana, but also for anyone else who's interested, there are a lot of courses that would teach you certain technicalities around your business. SCCA has a learning portal, so you don't have to be an accountant, but they have a learning portal which is free to everyone, and they have a lot of financial courses. But also LinkedIn is great for courses. If you want to just find out if it's pricing or if it's HR or something, it's always helpful. And also books. There's a book called Built to Sell, but it teaches a lot of fundamentals around how you just build a business that ideally you would sell. But even though you don't want to sell, it has a number of great concepts that you can learn it doesn't matter if you're a one-man business, but it will teach you what to look for when you're hiring. It will teach you what to look for when you're doing your numbers. It will teach you what to look for even when you're looking for the type of advisors you'd get in a business. So if you're a bookworm like I am, or you enjoy learning, that's something that you can dig in.